Hi, my name is Ryan, and today for the Friday favorite, I'm going to show you how to use the Hunter Star Trim Tool by Creative Grids. Let's get into showing how to make this lovely block, and this is our end goal. With the Hunter Star Trim Tool by Creative Grids, it's going to give you your cutting points so that you can easily make this block. Previously, I've done it with paper piecing, and it was a lot more difficult. So, on the ruler, we're going to be using the top section to do our trapezoid cuts, and then the square inside has our counterpoint letters that'll help us center and trim. The ruler comes with a cutting guide that'll show you the sizes of blocks you need to cut. For this demo, I'm going to be doing the A size, which ends up at a 12-inch finished block. For this size block, we're going to start off with two 5.5-inch squares, each of our light and our dark fabric, 8 each of the 2-inch by 5-inch strips, and 2 each of the light and dark 2-inch by 4 3/4 inch. To cut, let's first start with our 2-inch by 4 3/4 inch. For speed, I'm going to layer them on top of each other. If you're using a fabric that has a print, be mindful that you're not cutting it appropriately so that you lose your directionality of your fabric. So on the ruler, there's a little letter up at this top corner, and it gives me a guide to line up my corner so I can trim off this section. I'm going to grab my Martelli rotary blade here and trim. Then we're going to take our stack, and I have both my lights and my darks here for speed. We're going to line up the opposite corner right here on my little A and make the same cut. After that, we are going to take our 2-inch by 5-inch strips, and this is where it's really important to mind your directionality of your fabric. What we are working to cut are these two side pieces, so you have to make sure to layer them right sides together or wrong sides together when you make the cut so that you have one for each side mirrored. Since I'm using a solid, I don't necessarily need to worry about it. For this one, I'm also going to lay it horizontal, line it up with my little A, and we're just going to make one corner cut. Let's do the same thing with our opposite print. And cut. Helps if you open your blade. And so how this helps us for our dark trapezoid, we'll take our white cuts, and they're going to line up on those angles. Just like that. For our other print where we have the white as the trapezoid, same thing, we'll just have our opposing or mirrored strips for the corners. You'll then sew a 1/4 inch seam along both sides, and you make 4 each of these to make the final star. After we've sewn our 1/4 inch seam along both sides, the ruler and guide ask you to have the trapezoid laying facing with the shortest edge facing you, and you're going to take it and press it towards the left. You're going to do the same thing, short edge towards you, and press towards the left with the opposite color combo. The reason they do this is once you get to final assembly, these ones are going this way, this is going this way, and those seams are going to nest. For our next step, we're going to take our 5-inch squares, and again, it's 2 5-inch squares each of each color. Thankfully, the ruler is large enough so that you can use it to make this cut. We're going to line it up on the diagonal and cut it in half so that we have our triangles. And we'll end up with 4 triangles each of each color. From there, we're going to assume that I've actually pressed these with an iron, but you're going to find your center point on these on the short edge, and you're going to take your triangle that is the same color as your trapezoid, and you'll also find the center of your triangle, and you're going to pin them together along this edge. Once you've pinned them, you'll sew a 1/4 inch seam all along this edge. And once you've done that, we get to this step. We did the same thing with our white triangle on the white trapezoid and got these. So now, in the directions it guides you or instructs you to press the seams open, I found that that did help so that it decreased the bulk in my seams. I do find it sometimes easier to finger press. If you'll press one way, flip it over, and press the other way. Once you then go in with your iron to do your final press, just makes it a little bit easier, but you will open up those seams. And you'll do that with both sides. After that is done, you will take both of these pieces and flip them on top of each other. We have nesting seams there at our triangle points. And once we sew that final edge and do all of our pressing, we end up here. Now that we have our corner set and sewed and pressed, we're going to bring back our tool. So on the tool, if I line this up properly, because we did the A square, we are going to take it and line it up so that those little A's are sitting right in the corner where our trapezoids met. And then the diagonal lines up along the seam. This is going to be used to trim down our block. So this is going to be 6.5 inches unfinished for our block, and we're going to make 4 of these total. So we'll trim one side. Time for a new blade. And trim the other side. Sorry about that. Spin it around. Use your ruler to again line up along those corners and seam. And we will trim one more time. The ruler is also giving you guidelines so that you see that you're lining up for your final size. If you were doing the larger sizes, you'll follow the sets of B or C, and it gives you the guides for the larger block sizes. From here, you will essentially take these 4 pieces or corners, and where they fit into the block is just like this. And you take them and go around the block, lining them up appropriately. You'll sew your seams, sew your seam, and then if you press one direction and press the other, and you piece them together and do your final seam, to decrease your final bulk, you can spin your seams when you're doing your final pressing on the back. From this point when I had this long seam, just take your center and give it a little tug, and it'll open up that center point. And then you'll just be able to do your pressing. And this helps it lay a lot flatter in your quilt, and also makes sewing everything together a lot easier because all of your seams will be going the same direction so that they'll nest as you put your blocks together. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the use of the Hunter Star Trimming Tool by Creative Grids.